So listen, we've got a real incredible show tonight. I mean, somewhat somber, but we're gonna do our best to get through it. Because all of us was living in a state of shock and euphoria this week, and so we're gonna talk a little bit about that in terms of you know doing something a little therapeutic, not necessarily so much to try to tell anybody how to feel, but I'm looking to try and get myself some kind of peace because I'm still a little shocked by it, but I think I've got a brother in the building tonight who is one third of the disciples who can help us get through it in terms of all of his years of experience in ministry, in terms of helping us understand some things from a spiritual perspective. So we're going to talk to our brother, better known as the pastor in the hood, but of course, Dr. Bryant Ali. He's in the building, and we're going to have one heck of a conversation with him. And then, of course, coming up after that, we're going to have Brother Rahman Muhammad in the building, the deputy mayor for the city of Newark, going to come through, and we're going to talk with him as well as Etheridge Hawkins, the former mayor of Orange. We're going to talk a little bit tonight about two different things. We're going to talk somewhat about the Iowa caucus that's coming up next week, and what does that really mean to Black folk? Of course, y'all know that the Democratic Party can't win without the Black vote. So we're going to talk a little bit about that in terms of what that looks like for us. I heard Roland Martin have a conversation with George Stephanopoulos, and one of the things he said to George, Brother Ali, when he was talking about the caucus, he said, man, I'm just a brother. He said, I don't know how many brothers up there.
No need to express.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
There's 5 of them out there.
Yeah. So he's like, if y'all want to talk about Ohio, y'all want to talk about Philadelphia, y'all want to talk about New York, y'all want to talk about Washington, Maryland. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Up in the football team.
So I was like, yo, I'm feeling where he's coming from. So we're gonna talk a little bit about that tonight, and then after that, we're going to talk some local politics. Of course, y'all got a number of things that are going on. Y'all got some folks who are saying that they're considering primarying the governor. So we're going to talk a little bit about that tonight, and have some conversation as it relates to that. And then, of course, y'all know after that, y'all got DJ Rhino, who's going to, just shut everything down, and we're going to turn him loose, and then he's going to do what he do. So get ready for that. So let me just say this right off of the bat. All Politics and Local is purely a community radio production, and the ideas and programming does not in any manner reflect the views or positions of Rutgers University, Newark. All right, so here's where I am, Ali. Obviously, you all know by now that last Sunday we lost Kobe Bryant in a helicopter crash around 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Our time.
Really early our time, so it was morning time.
It's like 9 o'clock their time, and so all of us were in shock. As it relates to that, of course, you all know by now, his daughter was also on that ill-fated helicopter flight. So Gigi was on that flight, and so we want to talk a little bit about that and try and see if we can get through this and perhaps understand it a little better. One of the things I heard Brother Dollar say this week was, he said that the brother, of course, he was talking about how the spirit talks to you. And he was relating to, some of the incidents he came through. And he was saying that here's a 41-year-old man that was doing such incredible things in the community and just found his way after the end of football, end of basketball. And I can say, I know as a former athlete, that, when you live your whole life and you do that and that's what you do, when you finally find what you want to do after that,
that's a major thing. Major thing.
Yeah, emotionally, it's a major shift. So, I mean, I kind of understand that, but what I want to do is that what I heard Brother Dollar say. He said that this this brother didn't have to die because the Spirit speaks to you. And there probably were a number of things that were speaking to him. Hey man, don't do this. Hey man, your time is going going, because when I was younger, Ali, the things I used to hear is, how people will say, hey man, something told me not to go there. Something told me not to do that. I know now it's the Holy Spirit, but I didn't know that then.
Yeah, it's always the after effect. And I think the reality is none of us obey every thought we have.
Right.
Where a lot of times people play Monday morning quarterback after everything is over, everything is happened. Sometimes the Lord shows me certain things.
Hold on a second. I'm sorry. By the way, that's just so y'all know. I know I said it, but I
Yeah,
just make sure it's
your
1/3.
Pastor Hood,
Yeah,
Pastor B. Ali,
that's right.
Senior Pastor New Summers Worship Center, 401 Avon Avenue, right here located in North New Jersey. So I think a lot of time we don't respond to what we feel that's a function,
Right.
especially if it's not about our day. And it's according whether you're early morning person or late night person,
Right.
whether you do meditation, or all of it has to do with a personal relationship with the Creator. And many times when I get up in the morning, like on Sundays when I get up to preach, my wife would tell you I don't talk.
Right.
I'm focused because
Yeah.
my mind is going through so many different things. And then number two, I'm tired. I don't want to get up. So
Right.
if certain things came to
Right.
me, if I got a schedule,
Right.
I'm more focused on what I have to do
Right.
versus what I may be hearing spiritually.
Right.
And I don't believe the Creator it's just come that suddenly
Right.
and say, you know what? If you get on that helicopter, you're gonna die.
Right.
Because I got a biblical story that rebukes all that. Has nothing to do with Job. When you
Right.
look at Job, the first poetic book in the Bible, when you look at the story of Job, who lost all of his children, 10, when you look at he lost everything he had, and then he lost his health, and nothing left for him and his wife,
Right.
and he hadn't done nothing based on the narrative. The enemy had came to God and said, and God asked the question, have you considered my servant Job?
Mm.
And Job, he said, how can I do? You got a hedge around him.
Right.
You give him everything you want. He
Right.
wants it. He a good man, you say. But if you let me attack him, I guarantee he'll cuss you to your face.
Right. Right.
And so when you look at that, sometimes events happen. Tragedy. It's like when a child gets killed, stray bullet, what's that, school killings. You're going to tell me that them kids did not have to die because they had a warning not to go to school that
Right.
day. And I don't buy that.
Right.
I don't buy that. I believe sometimes God allow events to happen. Death is an enemy. The last enemy that shall be destroyed is death. But death is an enemy to God's purpose for his creation.
Right.
So if that was the case, every time you have that, but I believe that God allows tragedies to happen so everybody can stop and see the brevity of life. Because just like we as our people of color are mourning, there's one comedian that's not mourning.
Mm.
They've been on him. He talked about Kobe should have died.
Wow.
He was a rapist. If he wasn't rich, he would have got convicted of that rape charge years ago. So I ain't grieving over Kobe.
I didn't hear. Who
Oh
was
yeah,
that? I didn't hear about that.
it was on the news break today.
All right, I got
White comedian, and he went off on it
Yeah.
about it, and a lot of people are on him about that
Yeah.
because he, no type of sympathy, no type of compassion, no
Right.
type of mercy. But that's what happens when you're a public figure. Everybody got an opinion.
Yeah. So that sort of sounds like somebody who is trying to gain some fame off of the death of our brother. But let me ask you this, Brother Ali, because the scripture that I heard that was used by Brother Dollar that he used was St. John's 10:10.
The enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. I come that you might have life, have it more abundantly. That's my favorite scripture.
Right.
I got it tattooed on my arm.
Wow.
That's my go-to, and
Right.
that's what I'm pursuing, abundant life.
Right.
But they also say, proverbial writers say, the blessings of the Lord maketh one rich.
That's right.
He adds no sorrow to it.
Right.
So when you look at that, the whole context of that, Jesus was saying, I'm a good shepherd. I'm not a hireling.
Right.
Hireling sneaks in. He leaves the gate open. He's not concerned about the sheep. He said, I'm concerned about you.
Right.
The enemy want to steal, kill, and destroy you.
Right.
But I come that you might have life
Right.
and have it
Right.
more abundantly.
Right.
But let's look at Kobe's upbringing. Kobe was raised in parts of Rome. He traveled the world. He had a different experience. His father was a professional player.
That's right.
He was always
for the Philadelphia
right.
76ers.
So he was always around some type of activity, some type of formalized training, et cetera, et cetera. And then he saw the world.
Right.
So he spoke more than one language.
He
I
did.
understood.
He spoke Italian and I think he spoke Spanish.
Spanish. Okay, so here it is. He was bilingual for sure. Not just talking about it.
Right.
Not Rosetta Stone bilingual.
Right.
But he was bilingual by experience.
Right.
So when you look at that, his upbringing and his focus is different. One like the little boy on the hood that all these speakers do ebonics and
Right.
say, yo, what's up? You can tell on interviews. You know what I mean? Yeah, right. Yeah, man. And they talking to a woman. Man, this, man, that. I'm talking about. Then you got some athletes that can get on and articulate what they're trying to say. And Kobe was one of those athletes
Right.
that could articulate his message. And let's look at his upbringing. When I brought up the little rate charge he had back then, let's look at his upbringing. Look who he came up with: James Worthy,
Right.
Magic Johnson, all of them back in there. When Magic came out and gave his HIV diagnosis, what did he say? I was wide open on the road.
Right.
James Worthy was knocking them down on the road. Even though Kobe was married to Vanessa, he was a young man. And he was able, because family meant something to him, he was able to go back and reconcile that. I know they say they paid a couple $1,000,000 for a ring, whatever, but the brother was able to mend his household back for the sake of his children. And a whole lot of brothers would just say, okay, boom, I'm caught.
Right.
I'm the money maker in this family. You either get with the program or you go. But that woman meant something to him.
Right. Right.
And here it is. You and I, we both married, but we ain't no way we can say if we were traveling the world right now,
Right.
in our late 50s, me in my early 60s, traveling the world, and women coming at us everywhere we went, and some women we don't understand their language.
Right.
We can't say I'll never get caught in a predicament where I got to make a decision.
Right.
And that particular situation, based on the records, that was room service.
Right.
In the room.
Right.
And then she cried rape.
Right.
Now I won't there, but I give the brother this. He didn't run from the charge.
Right.
He showed up. He faced the music because my wife was watching the story of Aaron Hernandez last night and how he lost it, and et cetera, and the friends he was around and stuff like this.
This was the football player who played for the New England Patriots,
right?
Yeah.
And had Robert
wanted to kill one of his best friends.
Well, he did a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And they say his major problem was his sexuality.
Oh, okay.
He was gay, probably gay, bisexual, whatever, and he was trying to hide behind that.
Okay.
With his masculinity. But then they said his brain was so messed up. That's why he committed suicide. So, for us, we can play Monday morning quarterback, but this was tragic.
Right.
Tragic because it was a black man taking care of his family.
Right.
Black man on the road on a Sunday morning because he wanted church. We said that he should have heard something. Right. He was doing what most fathers don't do.
Right.
He was taking his daughter to the game and her friends.
Yeah.
So naturally, he had a different level of living.
Yeah.
None of her friends look like us.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about that, right? So, when you talk about this brother having made the kind of sacrifice that he was making, because what we hear is, and I'm gonna bring you into this as well. Well, what we hear is that when he retired, Ali, that he had left basketball altogether. Wasn't even going to games, wasn't watching any games. He was focusing in on business. And then what's being said now is that his daughter Gigi, right, had pulled him back in.
She pulled him back in. She idolized him.
Right. And so therefore, what I read is that she was considered his shadow, right? So wherever he went, DJ Ronald, his daughter was with him. Almost like you riding with your little boy, right? But now you riding with your daughter, right? And then all of a sudden she pulls you back into watching a basketball game. Something you done moved past and got beyond, right?
Yeah.
2 years later, right? Because he retired in 2016, right? But now you move past it. However, his young daughter who pulls him back in, and then what he does is he goes he creates his own league called the Mumble League
Right,
just
right.
for his daughter, right?
Mamba, yeah,
Yeah,
just for her.
buys a building, right? Puts the name on the building, right? Puts together a whole team, partners with Nike in order to get it done, right? And the boys club, and then says to them, he says, but you got to have a league that starts with 8 and 10 year olds,
Right, to develop them.
right?
And then not only that, he was pushing the Nike brand in
Right,
China.
right,
They said making so much money over China Nike because he had that universal
right,
appeal.
right.
So I think in essence, when you look at the whole shocking 41 years old,
Yeah, yeah,
worth 700, estimated $770 million.
right,
I don't expect him to be in traffic with me on Broad Market.
right,
You know,
right, right,
you know,
right,
I don't want to see him living
right,
on 15th Street and 14th Avenue.
right,
The brother made it, taking
right,
care of his family,
right,
doing what he got to do.
right.
But he could have easily became a recluse
Yeah,
and
yeah,
said, "I'm not being bothered with anybody no more."
right,
He was still concerned about other people
right,
and bringing them along and giving them opportunity.
right,
I got the money. I can support this. I can pay for this.
right,
I can sponsor this. And then not only me, I'm gonna bring people that's gonna connect to me
right,
because everybody has a phone.
right,
Notice how when the athletes of color have a phone, it becomes such a great sin.
right,
Where you don't look at their background. Let's look at Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods had got loose after he's supposed to been a virgin most of his life. Tiger Woods got a hold of something, and even though he was married, he went crazy. He went wild, back hurt and everything. They said Tiger was over. He went through what he had to go through, and then he recovered. The same thing with John Gray. John Gray, uh, preacher, pastor. His claim to fame was he was a virgin until he got married. Now it's alleged that he got a hold of some other stuff, and he went crazy. So then I asked any male the question, any female the question. Once you got a hold of something good, were you able to walk away from it and say this not right?
mm,
In a society where we come out of the 70s with BT Express, come on and
yeah,
do it till you're
yeah.
satisfied.
Skin
Whatever,
tight.
whatever it is,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, I think that for me, and Mike, I want to bring you into this. What was I mean, you were talking about it before we went on the air. We were in shock, right, when we heard about it. What was your feeling on it?
My first take on it was really in shock. I didn't believe it at first because I saw TMZ. TMZ to me is not really a reliable source to give news like that, especially someone that high of a caliber person, high status person like Kobe Bryant. So I went until more reliable news source came until I finally sunk that it was really Kobe Bryant. And the sad thing about his death is that Kobe Bryant was really living more of his second life because like even Bach said that it was really more about Kobe when he was actually in the NBA. But when he retired, it became more about his kids. He started seeing put his kids in the forefront. He started seeing him be with his kids more. He was the person to see Kobe as a family man. And Kenny Smith said something that was amazing in his interview talking about Kobe Bryant. He said that nobody really knew who Kobe Bryant was until really after he retired. Like you read in, so like even what's his name
So you're saying he became more famous after he retired?
I think he became people like he let people in more. Kobe Bryant was more a
Okay.
person that was more reclusive. He wasn't the person that would be your friend as a competitor unless you're on the same team as him. Nobody really knew who he was until after he retired. Like even Charles Barkley said the same thing. He's like I really didn't know who he was. I just shook his hand. He said, how are you? How's your day? And then he did move on. Until later on he retired. That's when he started sitting down talking to him, and then he was out who Kobe was as a person. And that's what's the point thing about it. Because I believe that Kobe Bryant was really sharing, like he did master class, he did so many different things. He did master classes, doing leagues. He was teaching other youth how to get to his level. And I think that's so much to share. And it's unfortunate that when great men die, they always take their secrets with them.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that, I mean, I'm looking at, of course, his contribution in terms of how he stepped up and became a family man, and all of that. But I think that, and this is just real talk for me though. I think it's easy, you know, if you got $700 million to be a great family man, right? It's a little easier than some of the brothers in the hood. I mean, they want to be that, right? Because
And some of them are.
and some of them are
Mhm.
even without seven hundred
Yeah.
million dollars, right? And and so I mean, we applaud him for doing that, but that's what he should have been doing, right?
Right.
You
He was
know,
doing what he's
right.
supposed to do, raise
Right.
his children.
Right. You got four kids. That's your responsibility. Great for you, my brother. But at the end of the day, right? We can look at that and we say, because you see, people using hashtags. What is it like, girl dad, or
Girl
dad?
dad, yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Which is great. I mean, at the end of the day, but on the real side, all of us should step up to the plate and take care of our children.
And as a
right?
father who didn't take care of his kids, didn't raise them, I was happy to participate in Girl Dad. I only have one daughter, my youngest daughter, that I'm estranged from, and that all my other daughters have forgiven me, and to be able to stepdaughters and whatever, to be able to post so many, to have so many granddaughters.
Right.
I'm blessed that
Yeah.
they understood, they forgave me
Right.
when I didn't deserve it.
Right.
And it's come down to selfishness, and then you pursuing a career, and a lot of time you get out here and you're doing certain things, and you don't take responsibility for that.
Right.
It becomes all about you,
Right.
and because you're surrounded with other people who are pushing you,
Right.
celebrating you,
Right.
and I told him I was a public so-called figure. I never say success. I was a public figure,
Right.
but I was a private mess.
Right.
And my children paid for that. And my youngest daughter, she's the one who suffers most from it. And she's not afraid to express her disappointment and why we don't get down like we should, and why she don't dig me like that, and why she don't care what her siblings say. Because their
man.
relationship with me is different.
I think what you just said was some major truth. You just helped somebody. You was a public figure, but a private mess.
Private mess.
Wow.
You want to handle your responsibility.
Wow.
I can't recall. My children cannot recall me coming to recitals, going to basketball games. I've always been in ministry doing this. After I got off of drugs, I just was driven into ministry. My purpose of coming out of being backslidden as a preacher, my purpose was coming out hooked on crack. I did not want to die. And my children go before my casket. Folk talk around your casket. And my fear was, and the Lord spoke to me, maybe he did. My fear was, I didn't want my children who I had neglected, they had to come to my funeral. They decided to come and hear somebody, somebody's going to say it.
Right.
Here lies your daddy, the crackhead.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that helped me, that got me focused. And then as they got older, they have their own families. My granddaughter just turned 25 today,
Oh, wow.
and
God
so
bless her.
I just talked to her on my way here.
Right.
And she's like, I'm cool, grandfather. It's all right. I said, you going to hang out? I'm maybe next week. I said, you old already? But she got a
Right,
responsibility. She
right.
has a daughter. She's going home. But the thing is, when you look at that, when I see this brother, when his career was over, because he
Yeah.
neglected him a lot.
Right. Yeah, he said that.
He was always on
Yeah.
the road.
Yeah, he said
So the
that.
bulk of their life, I looked at Brandy had remarks.
Right.
They went to the prom back in '96.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
So he had to take of the litter.
Yeah.
But he made it his responsibility to go back to his wife and get it right.
Right. I think that's what it was, right? I think that, so all the things you just ID'd in terms of him being his family man, I think that, like Ali said, he understood over that 20-year career what he had neglected. And so now he wanted to make up for that. And so he was now going to put that behind you. But one of the things I can speak to from an experience perspective, because I boxed for amateur and professional, and I know that when you put all your time into that, and then when it's over and you got to go do something else, it's difficult to find something else, right? That's going to hold your attention like that and hold your commitment. And so I understood when someone said for the first couple of years he didn't want to go to a basketball game. That's over. That's my past. I'm done with that. And then the only one who could reach you like that was going to be your children, right?
Right. To speak to you, and
Yeah.
consider this young brother here a millennial. When you look at it, in that aspect, me, I'm thinking about transitioning now. What do I do? I'm 61. I'm not going to be jumping on the stage, even though some of my colleagues are in great shape, jumping on the stage in their 70s.
Right.
I don't want to be jumping on the stage in my 70s. I want to be able to impact other lives and to pour into us. I think I hear the Lord saying, a lot of my engagements coming up now are for teaching.
Right.
We need you to lecture. We need you to do this. We need you to do that. Because that's the route I want to go. But I don't want to go that route without pouring into a younger person
Right.
that can take the work to their level, who gonna have a different thought than I have.
Right.
Won't do it the way I did it.
Right.
I don't do it the way my pastor
Right.
did it, you know,
Right.
and see the church go on perpetual.
Right.
You know, a lot of times people say, well, upon this rock I build. Jesus said, upon this rock I will build my church, gates of hell will not prevail against it. Many of them haven't did the homework
Right.
and realized he was at the proverbial gate of hell,
Right.
a mountain that they call gate of hell.
Right.
He was talking about where all the false prophets was, et cetera, the demonic place of that time and of that region.
Right.
He said, I'm going to build my church,
Right.
and none of this will prevail against it.
Right.
Because most folks say, I'm catching that. What gate you talking about?
Right.
You know, gates
Right.
are meant to keep something out. So, I've been
Right.
guilty of it and everything. He said, whatever you bind on earth, bind on heaven. Whatever you loose on earth, you loose on heaven.
Right.
But during your successful times, God is not at the forefront.
Right.
You know, I've been around ministry long enough to know most folk, unless they're part of a big ministry out in a mega church or whatever, most folk locally still seeking that abundant life, myself included.
Okay.
So
Let
we
me
hang on by faith.
Let me ask you this now. You know, and I want to stick with that for a moment when you say pouring into people, because it's one thing to pour into somebody, but it's another thing to leave them with your anointing, right? Because you know, I once heard a preacher say that Jesus doesn't visit every church, and you know, you could copy my style, but that don't mean you have my anointing to keep my crowd.
Well, the mantle,
Right?
the mantle.
And so that's what I'm saying. So if you pouring into people, are you pouring your anointing into them? Or is that, because that's sort of like a basketball game, right? You got to have your own game, right? I can teach you the fundamentals of this sport. I can teach you the fundamentals of ministry. But if you don't develop your own game, you don't develop your own anointing to be able to hear from God, then after I step off the stage, how you gonna keep the crowd?
Well, you got to be, well, that crowd may not be your crowd.
That's right.
So then
Right.
you have to build your
You
own
have to
crowd.
develop your own crowd.
You know, come on, let's go back to the day when we're using this basketball analogy. When I was, I remember Elgin Baylor, I remember Jerry West, I remember Pat Riley,
Right.
going back in the days.
Julius
But
Erving.
yeah, all of them. But who did everybody want to be on the basketball court in the 60s? Earl the Pearl Monroe.
That's right.
And all he did was a
New
little
York
spin.
Knicks.
You know, that's all he did
Yeah.
was a spin move.
Right.
But he had swag to him. So everybody didn't want to have the fundamentals. They
Right.
wanted the swag.
Right.
This is the problem. Many of our people, our children, want the swag
Right.
without the fundamentals.
Right.
They want the glory
That's
without
right.
developing the story.
That's right.
You know,
That's
you
right.
had to go through stuff. Just like it was business, the battle that Kobe had with Shaq.
Right.
But Shaq cried.
Right.
You know, one time they were enemies, but it's
That's right.
business.
That's right.
They say Shaq is so wild. I hear that. So wise, excuse me. I hear that he hasn't touched none of his career money
Right.
yet.
Right.
He lives off his endorsement.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So at 7 foot, whatever he is, and old, some stuff ain't about him. His shoes still gonna be 16,
Right.
17.
Right.
His clothes still gonna be big. So he about making that money.
Right.
But where he made his money, he's successful. But where he was weak at,
Right.
family life.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And you know, I never forget one time my ex-wife had told me, she said, you're gonna be old sitting on the front porch in your rocking chair by yourself.
Mm. Mm.
And that stuck with me. That's why I pushed for it. I said, you's a liar. I'm always keep
Right.
me somebody. And I told the
Right.
Lord, I said, Lord, if you want me to do your work, I need a wife.
Right.
I need somebody to keep me halfway straight.
Right. Right.
Because I know who I am.
Yes, sir.
You
Yeah.
know, and I know what I got the proclivity to do, and I
Yeah.
know what my weakness is, and I know what I struggle with.
Right. Right.
So I need somebody that's gonna love me for me.
Right. Right.
So when my wife married me, my current wife, and I've been married 4 times. When my current wife married me, I was 426 pounds.
Yeah.
I knew she wanted love with me because I was in shape.
Right. Right.
I know she wanted love with me because I was
Right.
a fat pastor.
Right.
She was just served me, and then she knew me,
Right.
and I could trust her.
Yeah.
So when I went down, and I've been down every year, I got to get ready to go for capitalization in February. I've been down every year, at times frustrated,
Right.
but she's been right by my side.
Right.
That's what covenant is.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what the for better or for worse
Yeah.
is, to death do we part.
Yeah.
So people always ask me about sexuality and stuff like that. That's not my battle.
Right.
You know, I understand I'm studying, but that's not my battle. I'm put it this way: if you don't never get in the pan, you'll never become a cake.
Yeah.
If somebody don't whip you up, mold and shape, you can be marred in the hand of the potter.
Yeah.
But if you don't get in that pan
Yeah.
and get under that heat and get some cooking done,
Right.
you'll never be a cake. You got all the potential to be a cake.
Right.
You got the mix, you got the whatever they put. I don't cook. You got the butter, you got the sugar,
Right.
you got the icing waiting, you got the fillers. You can be a pound cake, you can be whatever. You would never be a cake
Right.
unless you get in that oven.
Right.
You would never be successful unless you get started.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's true. I think
And
that.
Kobe was disciplined.
Right.
And what's the root of discipline? A disciple.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what he was. He focused on what he did, and he believed that he was the best. He had the talent to be the best, and he didn't fear nobody. At 17, he thought he was arrogant,
Yeah.
but he knew he was where he was going, where he was headed.
Yeah.
You know, they only come by once in a while,
Yeah.
once
Yeah.
in a generation.
Yeah.
Muhammad Ali had that same swag.
Yeah.
When he got beat up bad by Larry Holmes, Larry like, man, you my idol. I can't hit him no more.
Yeah.
I need y'all
remember.
to stop this
I
fight.
remember seeing that.
You know,
Yeah.
you can hang around too
Yeah.
long.
Yeah.
Brady found that out this year.
Right.
You can hang around too long. You got a Mahomes throwing stuff sideways.
Right.
So a lot of times we don't want to come off the scene.
Yeah.
We don't want to see ourselves. And see, my thing is in the earthly term, we looking at Kobe dying on that mountain. What did his daughter say? Daddy, what's going on?
Yeah.
I personally believe they never knew what hit him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Blunt force trauma. When they hit it,
Exactly.
they say the bodies
Right.
were charred beyond recognition. They were identifying them through fingerprints.
Right.
You know, and I think that's the mercy.
Right.
That's the blessing.
Right.
They didn't see it coming.
Yeah. Yeah.
You figure 30 feet.
Yeah.
That's 3 basketball courts.
Yeah. Yeah.
30 feet.
And at the speed in which they hit the mountain, 137 miles an hour.
Oh man.
Yeah.
You disintegrate.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
they never, nobody on that plane other than the pilot.
Yeah.
And I don't even think
Well,
he knew.
no, I don't think so either because
I think it came
one
up
of the
on
things-
him.
Yeah, they said he was probably disorientated because of the cloud.
Right.
So he didn't see what was happening because he had dropped so fast from above into the cloud. He was disorientated and he didn't get out of there.
Come
You
on.
know, and so if you're traveling at that speed and you don't see the mountain in front of you,
How alert are we?
Mhm.
How alert are we? We come to Rutgers on a Friday, you travel this route, you know the streets and everything. If something run out in front of you, you be like, oh, if you see it.
right?
If it's cloudy or if the fog is out there, you won't see it until you hit it. And that's what happened to him. So the mercy in it is they didn't have time they weren't there talking.
Right.
None of the kids, all of them had headphones on.
Yeah,
They've been
looking at
pumped
their-
up, playing music, whatever.
right.
The parents was having idle conversation.
Yeah,
Because, you know, right with COVID, I mean, they all were rich.
yeah,
You know, he didn't pick them up in Crenshaw
right,
and say, all right, let's go. No, they were rich and they were
Right.
sitting there doing that normal thing.
Right.
And that's where God sometimes wakes us up. Your life is not a normal routine. It's like a vapor.
Mm.
It's like a blade of grass. You grow up and then you cut off.
So let me ask you this, Ali. Two things I want to do before we run out of time. One is that first I want to say that Kobe kind of got his start. When he came back from Italy through this brother that I was able to, and I reached out for him today, and we're gonna get him to come on the show. But he's a Hall of Famer himself. This brother name is Sonny Hill.
Right.
And he had a program in Philadelphia that he said that that his father had dropped him off at when he came back to Philadelphia. And he said I taught him the fundamentals of basketball, not the high school he went to. He said when he went there and started playing with them white kids, Kobe was already one of the baddest players in the city of Philadelphia.
Like they had the fundamentals.
He didn't have right, but he learned that from this brother that his father had dropped him off with, and this brother got footage and everything, right? And he said that him and Kobe had remained close all these years, and every time Kobe would see him, he would put his arm around him. But he said that that's when he came back from Italy, he had put him in the hood with all these little poor brothers who could really play basketball. And when he went to high school, right, to Lower Marion, he was already this brother who understood the fundamentals. So them coaches who want to claim they coached him, he had these fundamentals from a black man who had a program in the city that was teaching these kids. And this is why he said he wanted a program to model that program of 8 and 10 year olds, because that's what his program was.
And that's where he learned how to play in the playground.
Yeah.
Where you don't call
Exactly.
a foul on everything.
Right. And because Kobe was 14 when he came back. This is what his brother said.
And 17 when he went to the pros.
Right. Exactly. Didn't go to high school. Right.
No college.
And here's the thing. Did you know that Philadelphia passed on him? Philadelphia 76ers?
They didn't want him.
Yeah. And it was that brother Smith, who is with ESPN now. Actually, Stephen A. actually worked for Philadelphia Inquirer at the time, and Stephen A. right was shocked that they had bypassed him and said because when they went, when they didn't pick him, they called him in for a tryout. Stephen A. said I was there,
The sting of rejection. Sting of rejection. A prophet is without honor in his own home.
Yeah, and then he went on and became this great player, and that's why he said every time he came back to Philadelphia, he would kill Philly.
Yeah.
And at the time he got drafted, look who they picked over him. Allen Iverson.
Yeah. Who was another
You hear that right?
Newport
They
News.
picked Allen Iverson over him.
Because
it was him and Allen Iverson and that they would choose they were going to decide between. And they chose Allen Iverson, the #1 draft pick.
Well, he was a better need too. They needed him.
Yeah.
At point. Newport News boys, Virginia, hardcore, in that playground. Knew how to play, wasn't scared of them big jokers.
Yeah.
Kobe was just another tall person. Because even look at Magic. The things Magic was able to do at 6'8".
Right.
He was one of the first that could bring the ball up the court.
Right.
Do this and do that. Mostly when they had you at that size, they put you down in the post. You stay right there. Shaq they had the Shaq attack. He couldn't shoot a foul shot to save his life.
That's right. Yeah. I heard Shaq say that he told Kobe, he said, whatever you do, he said, don't foul him because I can't shoot the damn foul shot.
Can't shoot.
He said, make sure Kobe get the ball.
Make sure, and even Duca, he comes out of my bishop's church, and they brought him in from Africa. He played for the Parasite. He played for Kansas right now. Duca, all he can do is dunk.
Right.
4 years. They wanted to take him out of high school, but because he's from Africa, he won't fully develop in our culture yet.
Right.
Good kid. Hurt his fingers, stuff like that. But all he can do is jump.
Yeah.
And he's gonna go to pros, and they're gonna keep him in low pros.
Yeah, I mean he's
gonna make plenty of money.
Yeah, let him
all he can do is dunk.
Let him play his position. So let me ask you this, Ali. How do I, and I guess where I'm leaning on your experience in ministry. How do we go on, brother?
Well, life gonna go on whether we go with it or not.
Because
one thing I found out.
Because I know I was really depressed when I heard the news, bro. And I walked around in the daze for a couple of days, man, just like, wow, really? 41? And I'm thinking about my own age in my 50s now, and I'm like, man, 41? And I haven't accomplished what this brother's accomplished, what he was on his way to getting ready to do with these children, man. I'm saying, so how do we go on?
I stunned.
How do we understand?
I was stunned, but I think a week before Martin Luther King was assassinated, I was inside the Abyssinia Baptist Church, up in the balcony over his head. I looked at him. I didn't realize the significance of it.
That was in Newark?
Yeah, Newark.
Okay.
Before he went to Memphis, he talked about going out there. His impact at 39, 41. My father died at 44. I was just 22, just turned 22. He was 44 years old. I didn't realize how young he was.
Wow.
Until I got 44.
Yeah. Right.
So when I look at our people that pass in the street, I look at our young males and females that are tragically taken. I'm looking at my granddaughter girlfriend who was in that car last week that the two girls got killed.
Right. Right.
I look at all the tragedies that go on. I look at the sister in her Benz that ran off on Cullen Street and hit the pole. To me, every life is precious.
Right.
It's just that some lives make more impact on the international scale
Right.
than it does on the local scale. So internationally, I didn't know Kobe. I respect his grind. I'm a Laker fan for 50 years. I appreciate the memories. I appreciate the championships. But I know too many people on the local level
Right.
that never got that chance that are also gone.
Right.
So I grieve, but we the men do it for a night, but joy come in the morning because his name is going to live on
Right.
to
Right.
infinity.
Right.
Now who's next?
Right.
Who can we help create?
Right.
Who do we have around us that's gifted that we need to pour into?
Right.
Not
What-
just our anointing, but our mantle.
But what would you say we can learn then from
Learn how
Is that-
serious
is that-
life is,
is that
and
the
how
most-
short it is. Stop wasting time.
Right.
Redeem the time.
Okay.
Learn time management.
Okay.
Learn
Yeah.
priorities.
Yeah.
Learn what needs to be done. Put yourself on the back end.
Yeah.
Make what you want third.
Yeah.
What do you need to
Isn't that
do?
a scripture? Redeem the time.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's New Testament.
Yeah.
What you want to do is time management. I want to prioritize. What do I have to do?
Right.
Then what do I need to do?
Right.
And then what do I want to do?
Right.
What I have to do need to be taken care of first. What I need to do is supply. A lot of times we do what we want to do and we neglect the other two. And then when time run out, we be like, it's like the old lady said, death came in to get her at 22. She said, I'm not ready. I'm too young. I'm too fine. I'm too beautiful. I'm shapely. Everybody chasing me. And so death, she said, do me a favor. Make a covenant with me. Remind me when you're coming back for me. So death said, okay, not a problem. I'll let you know when I'm coming back for you. So when he came back for her later, she said, you told me you was going to remind me. He said, when the guy stopped talking to you, I was reminding you. When your eyesight started going bad, I was reminding you. When your figure that used to sit up and started to droop, I was reminding you. When your hair changed colors in spite of your dye, I was reminding you. When the wrinkles showed up on your face, I was reminding you. Everybody is reminded that all we have is one day. That's all we get. It's never tomorrow, and we only have memories of yesterday. All we got is the present. You got to redeem the time while you have time, because none of us know the minute of the hour when our time is up.
So one of the things you just said was do the things that are important.
Do the things at a point that need to be done.
Yeah. Yeah.
And don't go up a mountain by yourself.
Yeah. And so when we talk about family being important, because tomorrow is not promised and because the time is short, don't get lost in the shuffle. Pay attention to your family. That's important. And if we can learn anything from this, then, we need to learn that, what Kobe's death teaches all of us is that you can be 41 and be worth $700 million and still be great. But at the same time, if you're not doing what's important and what's immediate, the whole world can miss you. But at the same time, your family, who's going to miss you the most, what you should have been doing 20 years ago, even though you added 20 years later, that should have been your focus, but it's your focus now.
Yeah, and then once you're gone, people gonna remember you, but that's all they're gonna do.
Right.
You become a Nipsey Hussle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
He was at the Grammys last year.
Yeah.
Who was he at the Grammy with? His child.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
He did an interview with his child.
Yeah.
Who took him out?
Yeah.
One of his homies.
Yeah.
Then he was gone. Now everybody loved him.
Yeah.
Everybody want to idolize him. Everybody want to do this. Everybody want to do that. But who looked out for him while he was living?
Right.
Who helped him along the way? Who supported him? Who helps you along the way? Who helps these young brothers that's in school? Why John Bon Jovi had to come to our neighborhood to put a eatery downstairs?
Right.
We got so many successful black graduates,
Right.
but a lot of time we only feeding ourselves.
Yeah.
Look, they reaching out for the boy that LeBron James' mama, what's his name, the little athlete, West. It's all strung out in D.C.
Right.
Messed up.
Right.
Some of his mental illness, drug habit, everything. This boy was Delante was a star up in Cavalier.
Mm.
A star. He lost his mind. He hooked. He on the streets. He homeless. He looked like the devil.
Mm.
And one of the players said, "Man, I want to help him." When Lamar Odom went down, how many people embraced him? Them Kardashian girls they got some
Oh
on.
yeah. Yeah.
You know, they made the father want to become a woman. you know, you know.
Yeah. 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 I think you're getting a little too real right now.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
He wanted to be one of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Because he was trying to figure out, what was it that they had that was so golden.
And maybe that was in them all the time. They'll bring out.
Yeah.
Please, leave me. Let me just put this disclaimer. There's no way I'm bashing anybody.
Right.
That's a fact. Here, this Bruce Jenner was on my Wheaties.
Right.
He was an all-star swimmer.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, he Caitlyn.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what he want to do? This is American. This is his will. But it was in that Kardashian family.
Right. Right.
They didn't got Kanye saved.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like certain things, and it's nothing I'm saying about them, but certain families. When you get out there with fame, I told Rhino, don't try to be famous and then expect to have a private life.
Right.
You can't have that. You're always gonna have critics. A lot of people pursue fame. A lot of people pursue fortune, and then when they get it, they want to be able. Oh, I don't want to go. I want to be able to go to the mall. Get away from me. I want to sit with my kids. I want to go to a movie. I want to watch this. I want to watch that. You should never pursue that life.
Right. Right.
You should have stayed on the bus with your lunchbox like Fred Flintstone.
Right.
And you wouldn't have been famous and nobody'd be a secret.
Right.
But once you pursue fame, when fame comes, you don't have a life no more.
Right. So the one thing, and I want to bring you back into this, Mike. So you as a young man, what is it that you can take from what you just heard Ali share, in terms of how do we understand, the tragic death of Kobe Bryant?
It really just puts mortality in the forefront of just life in general. Because for me, like I'm actually in a family that deals with a lot of sickness like cancer, like kidney disease, and I've been seeing like just family going through a lot of like illness, and like it makes me sit down and think like, okay, am I using my time effectively? Am I really pursuing what I want to do? Is everything I do is it needed? Is it urgent?
Mm.
Or is it something that I just want to do? And really just come down to being an older sibling means come down to sacrifice. Like the reason I work as much as I do because there's things I have to take care of in the house. It's just me growing up a little faster than I should, but it also teaches me a lot of lessons about even impacting my brothers and sisters. Like, yo, this is what you should be doing right now. You have dreams, I understand that, but understanding if you want to fulfill what you want to become, you should take steps to go get to where you want to become. Because something I know is, like, even with me, I do a lot of daydreaming, but nothing's being executed.
Mm.
And time is something that can't be bought back. So one time to my little brothers, like I know you want to ball, but you haven't been on a team, you haven't really had a coach. And he's honestly every time, like every time I'm in the Uber, right, and they see him play, like who's that guy playing in your background? He's amazing. And I tell him that, and he doesn't believe me. I'm like, dude, you have to. One thing that I've noticed is that my brother didn't have the confidence, and that's one thing I think confidence leads to success, and it's so important. I think a lot of people that don't reason why people don't do what they want to do is because they lack the confidence, or they lack the resources, or they lack the understanding to get to where they want to be. And I think one thing people can actually work on first is their confidence first. And I think that's one thing Kobe did have confidence. He was persuaded of what he wanted to do, and he was committed about what he wanted to achieve. And that's one thing I took away from even hearing you speak about mortality, even being reminded about death, and seeing also in my family, seeing what death can look like and how it can take away, like that can really take away someone's like joy and their usefulness and even their passions of it. And look at it, it's a sad it's a sad experience, but you can just keeps you focused in the end of the day.
It's amazing you said it. Let me just end with this. Apostle Anton Aubrey, let me give him a shout out. I had to eulogize some of my people's son yesterday. He was in his 60s, he died of cancer. But on my way to the funeral home to do the funeral, I ran into Apostle Aubrey, who was there with his wife to dress his 4-year-old daughter who had died. And I just called one of my members before I got here. They lost a grandchild, and they're waiting for the girl to push the baby out, but the baby had no heartbeat. And when I looked at him, and I know what it is to lose a child, but when I looked at him and his wife going to dress their 4-year-old daughter, who was special needs, but she fought, going to dress them, that put everything in perspective, because to him and his wife, they were dealing with their own grief and their own pain. And like he said, with different illnesses and everything, that's why John 10:10 comes into play. The enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And he said, I come to the good shepherd, said, I come that you might have life and have it more abundantly. And that's what I pursue daily.
I think that's, for me, I think that scripture speaks to me, right? And I think that, you know, and for you to say you have it on your arm, I think that's amazing, right? Wow. Real talk.
You know,
I think
that
that
speaks to my heart, man.
when I heard that, and I'm like, and I read that, you know, this morning, and I was like, wow, man, you know, I mean, we clear on, you know, what when tragedy befalls, we know that for some of that's not God. We know that the devil has come to steal, to kill, and
to destroy. That's his job,
right? He's doing his job. But I think you've laid it out for us, Ali, in terms of, you know, how you just responded to it and what you got out of the conversation today. I think that's it, Ali. And I want to say, man, I appreciate you taking time out your schedule, brother, and coming in and helping us through this, man.
I said, it ain't fourth Friday, but I got the message. I said, did I miss a whole month?
Nah, man. One thing I noticed about you, man, Ali, is I know that you keep it real, man.
And I
appreciate that, man. I appreciate that.
You know, I have a requirement to do what I do, help others attain destiny.
And Ali talked about the comedian who was going around saying the negative things about New York City Comedy Club, gets death threats after performing remarks about Kobe Bryant. And of course, he's going around saying a city comedy club got death threats, and then New York City Comedy Club has scheduled a comedian. His name is Ari Sharifer, Shaffir. You know, this guy's going around saying that it should have been Kobe Bryant. Should have been Kobe Bryant. Just incredible.
That's incredible.
He deserved it, because of the rape.
Well, we'll see. All right, he's gonna get what's coming to him too, right? Well, listen, man. Again, Ali, thank you, my brother. Appreciate you,
man.
And
real.
Mike, I appreciate you sitting there with us.
Thank you so much.
And appreciate all of that. So, DJ Rhino, you ready, my brother? All right. Well, listen, y'all. This is All Politics Are Local, America's number one political hip hop radio talk show. We're gonna come back, and then of course Zaid is gonna come through. He and Donna with their guests, and of course Rahman Muhammad, the deputy mayor, is in the building, and then of course Etheridge Hawkins, and we're gonna have that conversation in regards to the Iowa caucus as well as to what's going on locally here politically. All right, y'all listening to All Politics Are Local, America's number one political hip hop radio talk show. Before we go, Brother Ali, you have anything coming up? Anything you want people to know about?
No, we just doing Super Soul Sunday. Everybody wear their jerseys. 9 o'clock, New Summers Worship Center, 418 Line Avenue, Newark, New Jersey, 9 o'clock a.m. And we just gonna come and worship the Lord our God and just enjoy life and each other.
There it is, y'all. You heard it from the one and only Pastor in the Hood, Brother Ali. All right, here we go. You ready, Rhino? Yep.